Esselamu aleyküm ve rahmetullahi ve berekatühü. Aziz ve muhterem izleyenler,
Valued viewers,
sevgili kardeşlerim,
my dear brothers and sisters, friends of my life, friends of my heart,
Allah'a sonsuz hamd ve şükrederiz ki
I thank and praise Allah Ta'ala countless times that one more time
el ele,
I am together with you, hand to hand, heart to heart, in such a unity,
sizlerle birlikte olmak.
to be along with you.
Birliktelik,
The unity
Allah'tan bahsetmek sadedinde
in regards to talk about Allah,
oluştuğu zaman
especially when it is for Allah, it is the time
parçası.
where everybody are happy,
Çünkü söz konusu olan Allah'tır.
because the topic is Allah.
Allah kalpleri birbirine yaklaştırır.
And Allah brings the hearts together,
Kapılarını açar.
opens the doors of the hearts,
İnsanlar birbirlerine dost olurlar.
and people become friends with each other,
Birbirlerini.
and they start loving each other.
Onları bu birliktelikte yalnız bırakmayan Rableri vardır beraberleri.
Because they have their Lord who doesn't leave them alone within this unity.
Bizler
Allah, you and I.
bir bütünü temsil ediyoruz sevgili kardeşlerim.
We are referring to the whole concept, my dear brothers and sisters.
Allah'ın her an bizimle olabileceğini,
Try to feel that Allah might be with me at all times.
idrak etmeye, hissetmeye çalışalım.
Try to comprehend
Allah
that.
her an herkesle birliktedir.
Allah is with everyone at any given time.
Neresinde kim ne konuşursa,
Doesn't matter who talks about what in any place in the universe.
ne düşünürse,
But that's not enough. Even whatever they think,
mutlaka
Allah certainly knows of that.
İşte şu anda sevgili kardeşlerim,
Right at this very moment, my dear brothers and sisters,
duyuyor.
Allah Ta'ala also hearing us at this very moment.
Gücümüzü, söz söyleme kabiliyetimizi Allah'tan alırız.
I get my ability to say things and my power from Allah.
Biz sadece
Whatever Allah gives to me, that's how much I have.
onun layık gördüğü ise optimal olandır.
If that is what He thinks worthy, that is the optimum.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
ne zaman şunu söyleyebileceksiniz?
whenever you can state the same thing, then you will go through the happiness all the way.
Allah'a çok şükür
As I praise Allah,
tepeden tırnağa mutluyum.
I'm happy all the way.
İşte bir gün bunu söyleyeceksiniz.
That's what you will say one day as well.
Tepe başınızın en yüksek noktasıdır.
All the way, from
Tırnakta
up
ayaklarınızın tırnağı.
to down.
Öyleyse baştan aşağı mutlu olan bir insan söz konusu.
Then you're talking about an individual who's happy from top to bottom. My dear brothers and sisters,
Mutluluk müessesesi
the concept of happiness is a concept that is continuous without any interruption.
Bu vetireyi yaşamak
To go through such a concept,
önemli olan bu.
that's the most important thing. Anybody may be,
Boyunca yaşayacaktır.
and they will be throughout their lives.
Bu yaşantıyı mutlu olarak yaşamak var.
But to have that life in a happy way or in an unhappy way.
Sevgili kardeşlerim, insanlar
My dear brothers and sisters,
başkalarının kendilerine saygı göstermesini isterler.
people expect other people to respect them.
En tabii afetlerinden birisidir.
That is one of the natural vices of the soul. to be respected by others.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
kim başkalarından saygı görmek istiyorsa
whoever is willing to be respected by others, they should respect Allah.
Allah'a ne kadar saygı gösterirse
The more the individual respects Allah, that's how much he loves others, and it will be obvious that he does love.
Allah'ı seven insanları mutlaka sever.
Those who love Allah, they certainly love other people.
Öyleyse mutluluğu yaşayan bütün insanlar
Therefore, all those people who experience happiness are those who love others.
sevenler sever.
Only those who love are loved back.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
ama biz sizden bu kadarını
but
istemiyoruz.
that's not how much I ask from you. I ask even more.
Sizi sevenleri sevmek bu zaten
To love those who love you is something anybody can do.
her tarafından seviliyorlarsa normal
Whoever they are loved by,
severler.
within the normal standards, they also love them back.
Bizim söylediğimiz onun ötesi.
But that's not what I'm telling you.
Ne zaman
What I'm telling you is beyond that.
sevmeyenleri de sevebilirseniz,
Whenever you can also love those who do not love you,
sevebilirseniz,
and whenever you can even love those who hate you,
affeder,
and when you can forgive and love those who harm you,
o zaman Allah'a çok daha yakın birisi olursun.
then you become an individual who is even closer to Allah.
Deneyenler bunun hiç de kolay olmadığını söylüyorlar.
Those who try indicate that it is not an easy task.
Doğru olabilir.
It might be very well the way,
Cedlerimiz, atalarımız
yet our ancestors,
en kalın duvarlarla çevrili surları aşmamışlar mı?
didn't they go through the fortresses? They were the highest and the thickest. And didn't they conquer those places?
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
bütün kale kapılarını açar.
love opens every door of fortresses.
Bu kale kapıları insanların kalbindeki
These doors of fortresses
kapıları.
are the doors of the fortresses in humans' hearts.
Sizden nefret eden insanlar
Those people who hate you,
sizinle karşılaşabilselerdi,
if they could encounter you,
onların o düşmanlarına karşı hala sevdiğinizi,
and if they could realize that even though they treat you as an enemy, but you still love them,
kin duymanızı
once they are clear on that,
söz konusu,
then they could no longer hold grudges against you.
sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
bilirsiniz ki
what would you lose?
sizi sevmeyenleri de, sizden nefret edenleri de,
Even if you love those who do not love you, and even those who hate you.
siz Allah'ın dostuysanız,
If you are a friend of Allah,
onlar ancak şeytanın dostları olur.
then those who hate you can only be the friends of Satan.
Onları dilediği istikamette tesir altına almak için elinden gelen her
And Satan will do anything and everything to influence people. And he is an extremely cunning creature.
böyle bir yaratıktır.
Yes, indeed,
Allah Teala tarafından
Satan
yaratılan
is a creature,
cinlerden birisi.
one of the jinn that is created by Allah.
Cinlerden de
In the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says Satan was one of the jinn.
Peki bir şeytanlar var.
As we understand, there are Satans that are also jinn.
Aslında cin tayfası.
Actually, Satans are also coming from family of jinn.
İnsanlar ve cinler olmak üzere
And consequently,
Allah'ı da idrak edebilen
there are creatures as humans and jinn who can comprehend and understand Allah.
her şey çok güzel.
My dear brothers and sisters, everything is so wonderful.
Eğer mutluysanız
If you are happy,
çevrenize,
then take a look around you.
başka insanları seven birisiniz.
Then you are an individual who loves the other people.
Sevdikleriniz olur muhakkak.
Of course, closest to you will be those that you love the most.
Ama kim başkalarından nefret ediyorsa,
But whoever is hating others,
başkaları da ondan nefret eder.
then others will hate them.
Ve nefretini saklayamaz.
Those who hate cannot hide their hatred, and those who love cannot hide their love.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
insanlar hep düşünürüm. Ne kaybeder ki?
I always think, what is it that people would
Güzel
lose
davransalar,
if they are nice to other people,
onları sevseler,
if they love other people, if they live for others?
onlara yardımı, onları mutlu etmeyi hedef edinseler,
If their purpose is to make them happy, to help them,
işte o zaman dünya bir sulh ve sükun dünyası.
then the world will turn out to be the world of peace and serenity.
Allah insanları yaratmış,
Yet Allah Ta'ala had created people,
ondan da öpülmüş.
gave them soul and blown into them from spirit,
Ruhu da
filling soul with all vices and filling spirit with all righteousness.
kuvvet,
Two opposite equal forces
iki kuvvet.
are fighting at the beginning. They're equal to each other.
Nefsin afetleri A kadarsa,
In other words, if there are a amount of vices, there are a amount of righteousness. They're equal to each other.
de mutlaka değişiklikler olacaktır.
But in time, there will be certain changes.
Afet söz konusu olabilir,
Vices may increase
azalması söz konusu
or
olabilir.
decrease.
İşte kim hayatında tasavvuf yolunu seçerse,
Whoever chooses the path of tasawwuf in their lives,
o
that is the individual who made the move to eliminate all vices out of the soul's heart,
üzere
at least at the beginning, to diminish them.
sadece bir tek faktör.
Just only one concept, zikr,
Allah isminin Allah,
repeating name of Allah, saying Allah, Allah, Allah, Allah.
Allah'ın katından
Doing that
iki rahmet nurunu
first
getirir.
brings 2% mercy from the presence of Allah,
Olan
then brings virtues that goes all the way to 98%.
getirmeye başlar. Bir insanın nefsinin kalbinde
In order to have first 7% virtue accumulation in the soul's heart after the first 2% mercy,
verilmesi için o kişinin mutlaka mürşidine
the individual needs to take a pledge of allegiance to a murshid, to a religious guide.
fazılların girişi için mutlak gerekli olan bir
Pledge of allegiance is absolutely necessary for virtues to be able to get into the soul's heart.
Sevgili kardeşlerim, zikir
Zikr, my dear brothers and sisters,
nefsinizin kalbine Allah'ın nurlarını davet eder.
they invite glories of Allah into your soul's heart.
Mürşide tabiyet bu kapıların
Pledge of allegiance
bu demektir.
means these doors to be opened.
Herkes bir dengeyle yaratılır.
Everybody is created within such a balance.
%100 affet
People have souls that is 100% full of vices.
ruhu vardır.
People have spirits,
Allah ruhundan üfürmüştür.
as Allah blows that into every individual that is 100% full of righteousness.
Hasletler
We have 100% righteousness and 100% vices.
işte bir bütünü ifade etti Allah Teala.
That is
Denge
equality of Allah. We have total balance.
insanın
the individual has soul 100% full of vices and spirit 100% full of righteousness. Why is spirit 100% full of righteousness? Because that is the spirit of Allah. Spirit of Allah can only be full of righteousness. And Allah Ta'ala says, we created everything in pairs with their opposites. We created everything in pairs with their opposites. In other words, two sides of the scale are always equal to each other.
Nefsinizin kalbinde nefsinizin ölçüsüne göre %100 afet.
At the beginning, vices are 100% in your soul's heart. On the other hand, your spirit's heart is 100% full of righteousness.
Ama siz ruhunuzu Allah'a ulaştırmak istiyorsunuz.
Yet you are willing to render your spirit back to Allah. If you have such a wish, then you don't have any problems. Because Allah has a promise. He says, whoever wishes to reach me, I deliver them to myself. I deliver their spirits back to myself. It is not they deliver the spirit. I deliver the spirit back to myself. Individual's wish is just enough for me, says Allah Ta'ala. We know that individuals are created within a balance. And what kind of a balance is that? There is a soul 100% full of vices. There is a spirit 100% full of righteousness. All the way here we have the balance. Well, Allah Ta'ala wants the spirit back before death. In order to render the spirit, the individual has to take a pledge of allegiance to the Murshid. And for that, the individual has to perform necessity prayer, Salatul Hajj, and ask a Murshid from Allah. My dear brothers and sisters, Salatul Hajj, necessity prayer. It is a prayer that takes place after midnight, with daylight savings after 1 a.m. During normal times, it's after midnight. Daylight savings time, then you do it after 1. You have to do it after that hour. And it has to be right before morning prayer, Fajr prayer. My dear brothers and sisters, to love is the basic command of Allah. And love to be able to increase for people is based on zikr again. The individual has to do zikr for love to increase. How much zikr is the individual doing within 24 hours? If the individual is doing zikr 2.4 hours within a day, that is 10% of 24 hours. That means the individual loves Allah 10%. Whenever the individual starts doing zikr of Allah 12 hours, that's the individual who loves Allah 50%. Yet, when the individual gets to continuous zikr and goes through stages after that, that is the individual who loves Allah 100%. Those who are at Ulul Albab post love Allah at 100%. also those who are at Ihlas and Salah,
boşluk kalmamıştır.
because there are no darknesses in their soul's heart anymore.
Doldurmuştur.
The glories totally fill these hearts altogether,
Temsil ederler.
and glories refer to love of Allah,
Sevenler arasında
and that is the individual who loves Allah the most.
mutlu olanın simgesidir.
And love is the symbol of their own happiness and joy.
Sevgili kardeşlerim, can dostum,
My dear brothers and sisters, friends of my life, friends of my heart,
Allah Teala'ya sonsuz hamd ve şükrederiz ki
I thank and praise Allah Ta'ala countless times that Allah Ta'ala taught me all these.
ve senelerden beri sizlere
And for many years, I have been teaching these beautiful notions to you,
mutluluk reçetelerini
giving you these prescriptions of happiness and joy.
bu bilgi bize ait değil. sevgili
This is not my knowledge, my dear brothers and sisters.
Biz
It is Allah's.
telefonuz.
I'm only a speakerphone.
Allah'ın sizlere ulaştırmak istediklerinin bir vasıtasıyız.
Only an instrument, what Allah is willing to deliver to you. He is delivering to you through me,
Etmek yetkisinin
and I don't have the ability to add anything from myself.
onun için de çok mutluyuz.
Therefore, I'm extremely happy,
Çünkü bizi sizinle karşı karşıya getiren şu anda
because it is Him bringing us face to face. Right now, we are face to face.
bilgisayara veya televizyona baktığınız zaman
When you take a look at your computer or TV, and as I praise Allah, we are on the TV stations right now, and that is a great blessing of Allah, my dear brothers and sisters.
ne görüyorsunuz?
What is it that you see? You see me.
Beyaz saçlı yoksa kır mı?
Gray hair, or is it
Beyaz
salt and
saçlı,
pepper?
bir dede var.
With gray beard, a grandfather.
Biz çocukların nur dedesi.
I'm the gloried grandfather of little ones. My dear brothers and sisters,
Allah Teala eğer kalbinizdekileri afet adı verilen o
if Allah Ta'ala eliminates vices out of your soul's heart,
ihtiva eden
which refers to all negative things,
tarafı
if Allah Ta'ala takes them away from you,
onun ölçüsü daimi zikirdir.
and the way to that is only continuous zikr,
Onu da söylemekte yarar görüyoruz ki
it is important also to mention that
gayretimizle olsaydı
if it was through my own effort,
hiçbir zaman ulaşamazdık gibi geliyor bize.
I feel like I could have never reached continuous zikr and beyond.
Hiç zorluk çekmeden
Allah got me to that point without any trouble
ve bizi tesbihin sahibi yaptı.
and made me the owner of tasbih,
Daimi zikrin ötesine geçirdi.
got me beyond continuous zikr.
Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
her şey öylesine güzel ki,
everything is so wonderful.
öylesine isterdim ki hepinizin
I would really like you all to feel exactly how I feel,
kırmızı,
to go through what I go through,
onunla konuşmanızı,
to be able to talk to Him,
ondan her an haber alabilmenizi,
to be able to hear from Him any given second,
yol göstermesini,
for Him to guide you every second.
yol göstermek yerine
Then eventually, instead of guiding,
onun yaptırmasını,
for Him to have you do the things.
her şey öylesine güzel ki sevgili.
Everything is so wonderful, my dear brothers and sisters.
Hayat
Life,
bütün güzelliğiyle
it is so bright at that point.
hangi ölçüde Allah'a teslim oluyorsunuz?
at what level you are submitting to Allah.
parçasının ne kadarını zikirle geçiriyorsanız
How much of that 24 hours you are spending in zikr,
o kadardır.
that is the amount of your submission.
Allah'a teslimiyetin ölçüsü günlük zikirdir.
Measure of submission to Allah is your daily zikr.
Mesela
Allah Teala says, Veskür ismi rabbike ve tebettel ileyhi tebdila.
Allah'ın ismiyle zikredin.
Do zikr in the name of Allah
Ona
and abstaining from everything reach Allah.
bu konunun başlangıcı.
That is the beginning of the concept.
Ki
Then Allah Teala says,
bundan daha fazla
do much zikr of Allah, which is doing zikr more than half of the day.
bu ikinci safha.
That is the second stage.
Daha sonra diyor ki
Then Allah Teala also says,
Veskurullâhe
Veskürün Allah'a kıyamen,
kuuden
kuhuden
ve
ve ala cunubihim.
öyleyse Allah'ı
Then do zikr of Allah when you are standing,
kendi
sitting,
en üstü yatarken
and lying on your sides.
bir insan sadece üç halde bulunabilir.
An individual can be in three forms only, either standing up,
Oturuyordur,
or sitting down just like I am right now, or
yatıyordur.
at night,
Bir dördüncü hal
lying on this side.
ayakta olmak
There is no fourth condition, standing, sitting, or lying.
İşte bu üç hale yaşayan insanlar
People who go through these three forms,
başından sonuna kadar
from one form
da
to another, if they are doing zikr of Allah,
daimi zikirdir.
that is continuous zikr.
Daimi zikre kişi ulaşmıştır.
That means the individual is in continuous zikr.
Allah Teala yarım mutluluğu herkese vermek için hazırdır.
Allah Ta'ala is ready to give half of the world happiness to everyone.
Mülaki olmayı
Whoever wishes to become mulaki to Allah, whoever wishes to ika their spirit back to Allah,
hikaye fiili
the verb likae
manasına gelir.
is to reach, to deliver.
Ruhunu ilka eden adam Allah'a
Individual who lika the spirit back to Allah is the one who delivers the spirit back to Allah.
Şimdi duralım ve bakalım
Now, let's stop
olay ne?
and let's take a look at the concept.
Planmış.
The concept has been defined by Allah.
Dinleyeceksiniz.
Allah Ta'ala says, you will make the wish to reach me. That's all you have to do.
Siz bana ulaşmayı dileyeceksiniz.
You will make the wish to reach me,
Bana ulaşmayacaksınız.
but you're not going to reach me.
Ulaşmayacaksınız.
You are not the one who will reach me.
Diyeceksiniz.
You will only make the wish,
Göreceksiniz ki
and you will realize
ben sizi kendime
that I will deliver your spirit back to myself.
emanetiniz olan, sizde bir emanet
I'll deliver your trust back to myself. You have a trust.
doğarken üfürdüğümüz
Spirit is the trust that I blown into you during your birth, says Allah Ta'ala.
ve onların sahibi
And Allah says, Allah commands you to render the trusts back to their owner.
vermenizi emreder diyor Allah Teala.
That is the command of Allah.
Allah emanetleri onların sahibine iade etmenizi emreder.
Allah commands you to render the trusts back to their owner.
Allah'a henüz ulaştırmadınızsa
If you haven't rendered your spirit back to Allah, that means you still have that trust, my dear brothers and sisters. That is Allah's spirit.
herkese doğduğu anda ruhundan üfüren Allah Teala
as Allah blows into everyone
o ruhu
as soon as they are born.
istiyor.
Allah Ta'ala wants that spirit back before death.
Her ne kadar Kur'an'ı bilmeyen insanlar
Even though those people who do not know anything about the Quran indicate that
hurafe
if the spirit leaves the physical body, you die.
çıkarmışlarsa da
That's their innovation.
hurafedir.
But that is nothing else but an innovation. It is not valid.
Ya, ruhunuzu açık bir şekilde
Because Allah Ta'ala clearly wants that spirit back before your death.
ruhunuz sizin ruhunuz değildir.
That spirit doesn't belong to you.
Allah'ın size üfürmek lütfunda bulunduğu
It is the spirit of Allah as Allah blessed you, blowing that into you during your birth.
bir emanettir.
It is a trust given to you.
Allah diyor ki emanetleri
And Allah Ta'ala says,
sahibine
Allah commands you to render the trusts back to their owner.
iade edin. Geri döndürerek onlara sahip
Deliver that, returning that back to their owner.
İşte bir insan bir başkasından borç almışsa
For example, if somebody lends money from somebody else,
borç aldığı kişiye ödemek mecburiyetindedir.
he has to pay that back to the individual he borrowed from.
Ötekinin ona verdiği bir emanettir.
Because that money is given to him as a trust. He can use that money in any way he wishes.
O emaneti kendisine verdiği parayı
But then he has to return that trust, that money back to the original owner.
bir kişi birisinden borç alırsa bu ondan aldığı bir emanet.
If you borrow money from someone, that is the trust you're receiving.
Dilediği yerde kullanır.
He may use that money
Aldıkları
in any place he wishes, but within a certain time that they agreed upon,
tevdi etmek
he has to return that money back to the owner.
mecburiyetindedir. Sevgili kardeşlerim,
My dear brothers and sisters,
insanlar için Allah bir sevgilidir.
Allah is a lover for every individual.
En az sevdiğinden en çok sevdiğine kadar herkesi sever.
Allah Ta'ala loves everyone from those who He loves the least to the ones who He loves the most.
Kimseden nefret etmez.
Allah wouldn't hate anything, anyone.
Ama adaletini şartlar ne olursa olsun
But doesn't matter what the circumstances are, certainly serves His justice.
başkalarına ne kadar kötülük etmişse onun hesabını mutlaka
If the individual was so harmful to other people, he will certainly pay for it.
acısını çekecektir.
And he will certainly suffer for that, as he will regret.
Allah insanların yaptığı bütün iyiliklerin bedelini de ödemek ister.
Allah Ta'ala will make people pay for every good thing they do too.
ise kendilerine de ne kadar iyilik ettilerse
If they were good to other people and if they were good to themselves, they will certainly receive for that as well.
birinci açıdan
Therefore, for the former, Allah Ta'ala created hell, and for the latter, Allah Ta'ala created heaven.
başka insanlara iyilik için yaşayanlar,
Those who live to help other people,
çalışanlar,
those who try to make them happy,
başkalarına kin tutmayan insanlar,
those who do not hold grudges against other people,
onları seven insanlar,
those who love other people.
bunların parantez içine alınması,
Putting all these into a parenthesis means they're the ones who live for others.
kim başkaları için yaşıyorsa
And whoever is living for others,
başkalarını mutlu etmeye vakfetmişse,
if the individual dedicated his life to make others happy,
insanlar Allah'ın en çok sevdikleridir.
they're the ones that Allah loves the most. They're always happy.
Çünkü her an birilerine bir güzel davranışta bulunmak için yaşarlar.
Because they live constantly to help individuals. That's the only thing they have in their lives.
Bilerek, isteyerek,
They cannot break anybody's hearts. They cannot harm anyone willfully or knowingly. For all owners of continuous zikr,
bir kanundur.
that is exactly the rule of Allah, and there cannot be anything other than that,
Zikrin sahipleridir.
because they are the owners of continuous zikr.
Sen ya zikir diye bir şey tutturmuşsunuz.
Many people may say that while you keep talking about zikr,
Ne demek ya?
continuous zikr, much zikr, little bit zikr, what does that mean? We are fulfilling 5 pillars of Islam. We are praying, fasting, giving alms, going pilgrimage, and saying shahada. We will also go to heaven, so will you. So why do you show off? That's what they say. My dear brothers and sisters, yet they do not know that nobody can make to heaven with 5 pillars of Islam.
Cennete giremez ama cehenneme girer.
They cannot make to heaven, but they go to hell. My sentence was a little different initially.
İslam'ın 5 şartıyla cennete
Nobody can go to heaven with 5 pillars of Islam.
girebilmek, Allah'a ulaşmayı dilemek demek.
Being able to go to heaven is only possible through making the wish to reach Allah.
Geriye
Allah Ta'ala wants His trust, His spirit back before death.
imaneti onun sahibi olan Allah'a teslim etmek mecburiyetindeyiz.
We have to render that trust back to its owner. Therefore, pledge of allegiance is extremely important. Why?
Mürşidin soran bir kişi
Because the individual who asks a murshid from Allah through necessity prayer, along with their pledge of allegiance, spirit leaves the physical body and joins the group that are
kafile
on their path towards Allah. And there are always thousands of spirits on that way.
Allah'a doğru yola çıkar.
Spirits take off towards Allah altogether.
Bu kafileye katılan herkes
And every spirit joins that group is the spirit of an individual who made the wish to reach Allah and who is saved of hellfire.
ruhunu Allah'a ulaştırmışsa o kişi
If the spirit returned back to Allah,
3. kat cennetin sahibi.
then the individual is entitled to third heaven.
Bir
Allah Ta'ala has an order here.
bir kişi
1. Those who wish to reach Allah and die, they make the first heaven.
eğer bu
2.
mürşidine ulaşmışsa
If the individual took a pledge of allegiance to the murshid and died after the pledge of allegiance, he is entitled to second heaven.
ruhunu Allah'a ulaştıramamıştır ama
He couldn't render the spirit back to Allah, but the spirit was on the path.
ve bir dilek bile Allah'a ulaşmayı dilemek
But only one single wish,
bir dilek
wishing to reach Allah alone,
mutlaka cehennemden kurtulması.
certainly saves the individual from hellfire.
Kim Allah'a ulaşmayı dilemişse
Whoever makes the wish to reach Allah,
ondan ayrılmadan evvel
but dies before the spirit leaves the physical body, that individual is entitled to first heaven.
kim mürşidine ulaşmış da tabi olmuşsa
Whoever took a pledge of allegiance to the murshid, and along with pledge of allegiance, spirit leaves the physical body
2. kat cennetin
and dies, that individual is entitled to second heaven.
Allah'a ulaştırmış da
But whoever renders the spirit back to Allah and dies after that, that individual is entitled to third heaven.
Allah'a teslim etmişse 4. kat
Whoever submits physical body to Allah, they are entitled to fourth heaven.
Allah'a teslim etmişse
Whoever submits soul to Allah, they are entitled to fifth heaven.
muhlis olmuş da ölmüşse
And whoever dies after being a muhlis one, a pure one, they are entitled to sixth heaven.
iradesini de
And whoever submits free will to Allah
ölmüşse
and dies after that, they are entitled to seventh heaven.
iradenin teslim
The last submission is the submission of free will. My dear brothers and sisters,
öylesine güzel ki
everything is so wonderful.
özellikleri sizlere anlatmak
To be able to explain these beautiful notions is a great joy for me.
çok ama çok seviyoruz.
I love you very, very much. Asking Allah Ta'ala to grant upon you infinite happiness. Asking that from the Almighty, I finish my statements at this point. May Allah bless you all.
El-Fatiha ve as-salavat. Esselamu aleyküm ve rahmetullahi ve berekatuhu.